Happy Thursday morning to everybody. I hope you've had a good week. I know it's going to be hectic for everybody getting ready to apparently most of you will be loading up and moving out, and I hope that goes well. Um, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving break, and I hope it's a break, and I hope you're able to spend time with family and friends. If you don't have family handy and you can spend it with friends, I hope you're able to do that. And you know, good happy news is that you won't have to be up at 8 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday um, anymore, since we will not. That's a reminder. We will not be holding our regular class meetings on Tuesday, Tuesdays and Thursdays after Thanksgiving. And that's because in lieu of those, you will be making your oral presentations, and you will be evaluating oral presentations. And we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit. So that's, anyway, so that's good. After class today, you can, maybe just very briefly, temporarily, forget about construction economy and maybe think about some other class that's beating you down, or maybe just breathe a little bit. So the business plan reminders are that your second installment is due the Monday after Thanksgiving week at midnight. That's November 30. And so you haven't, that's certainly compared to part one, these last three sections, 4 through 6, is you have a lot of time for that. But I won't give you my be prepared speech, but I'd like to. Let me see. Okay, and then the final. I haven't started really even thinking about the final, but I got an email yesterday about it, and so I had to think about it. The final is scheduled for 10 to noon on Saturday, December 12th, and you should know that it will be somewhat like the midterm. There'll be more details coming out about this later. I really don't know that I need you to be thinking about the final at this point, but I will, closer to the final, I'll have, I'll send everybody a link and we can have a Zoom session if you'd like to ask questions. But it will be primarily probably 80 to 90% material since the midterm. And that means that it's not the chapters at the end of the textbook, it's the chapters closer to the beginning to the middle of the textbook that we'll be focusing on for the final. It's 10 to noon on Saturday, but I will most likely give you a time window within which you can take it. I'm not going to give you 24 hours. I think we did that at the midterm, or it was a long time. I can't spare that because there's a lot of work to do after you're finished taking the final. You're finished, but Mitch and I are not finished. So anyway, but it'll probably be like an 8-hour window or something like that. All news about that will come in after Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of heads up. Oral presentations. Once again, there's some details that Mitch and I are working on to try to make this go as smoothly as possible. It won't be smooth. It's not going to be nearly as organized, or it's not going to work as well as we would like it to. So number one, I ask for your patience and understanding as we kind of wade through how we're going to pull this off. But we're going to work on those details of how, how we get questions such as, okay, how are you going to upload your videos? Where are you going to put your videos so we have access to them? Each of you will be grading a number, don't know what that number is yet, but a number of your peers' presentations. I'm thinking probably somewhere around the order of 5. It might be more than that. I doubt that it'll be less, but somewhere on the order of 5 to maybe 10 is probably too many. Anyway, some number. So we have to find out how to make those available to each student to evaluate those students to whom they've been assigned. You don't get to pick, we're going to assign them to you. So all those details have to be worked out, and we will work out those details. Have no fear, we'll work them out. And so that also will be coming maybe during Thanksgiving week, but according to the university wise ones, you shouldn't worry about it over Thanksgiving break because you've got enough to worry about. Bless your hearts. And so oral presentation, let's look at what the rubric is. And I'd like to, this is actually already posted on Canvas, but you can see the rubric here. And timing, so 4 to 6 minutes is what you'll have. You need to end within that 4 to 6 minute window. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, it's going to be very challenging. You're going to be hard pressed to get it all done within that time. But I would share experience with you that quite often, if you're making a pitch to busy people, this may be what you get. And this happens in corporate life a lot. I would also encourage you, we didn't talk much about how you make presentations and how you design slides. My slide design is not one you should use because my slide design is intended for an audience in the education area. Your audience is potential investors. And so you need to realize who your audience is, who you're selling to. And I've mentioned this bluff thing, bottom line up front. You need to start out by, saying kind of an executive summary way up front says, introduce yourself, and I am asking for you to invest umpteen, this many dollars. That's how you would pitch an actual investor. So here's the rest of the content. You can look through this yourself. Of course, this is separate from the written part. The written part, you'll be graded on the content of all these things as well. But on the oral part, you can see each one is just worth 1 point. It's, did you cover it, and did you make it clear? So if you speak too fast, if you speak too slowly to get to 4 minutes because you have no content to share, that'll be ruled against you. Make sure you speak up. I know that some of you don't have, you don't have external mics. You may not have, you may just be using your computer's microphone. The quality, the volume can be difficult in those situations, but I'm not concerned about the equipment you have limiting you. You're not going to be graded down for that. You do need to be speaking to your camera, and that's worth something. If we can see your hands, and you know, just it's good quite often if you just don't use your hands. But appropriately using gestures is okay. And it would be best if you didn't, you know, you might have some notes, but you should have gone through your presentation enough that you know, this is not long enough. It's not like a 20-minute speech. In 4 to 6 minutes, you should know what's going on. Don't read your slides. Don't, we can see your slides. Don't read your slides. And so don't you know, you should have eye contact for the most part. And then the visuals that you have, the PowerPoint slides or whatever you're using, Google Slides or Keynote or whatever it is you use, which is fine. There's some rules for that. You know, don't use, and today I'm going to show you, I'm going to have a slide on here that, you know, I should be embarrassed to include. But make sure your font size is large enough. Make sure what you have on there is clear. Make sure that there's not too much text. You know, once again, we're talking about audience here. In education, I don't mind putting a lot of text on a slide. But for a presentation like this, you shouldn't have a lot of text and a lot of reading for each slide. If so, anyway, you can see what that's worth, and that's worth a lot. You know, the 25, 2, 3, or 22 points out of the 50, almost half, is and I said, I better make sure these add up. I'll double check and make sure that all these numbers add up. If they don't add up, don't email me. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it. I'll check it and I'll fix it. But a good portion of it is the slides itself. And I will have you turn in a copy of those slides that you use in your oral presentation. So not only should this help you in preparing, since you know how you'll be graded, but this is also the rubric that you will use when you evaluate your peers. And remember, that's important for the person being evaluated, but it's also important for you, because we will look at your evaluations, those that you've prepared for your peers, and those will be included as part of the final score that you receive for the oral presentation portion of the business plan. So once again, a lot of details yet to be determined, to be worked out, and I don't want you to worry about those. I want you to work on your written part of the business plan right now, and that's where you should be putting your efforts. And this will come in due course, and we'll have it all laid out. Once again, I doubt that it's going to be perfect. It might not even be good. It might be awful, but at least if it is awful, hey, we've learned something and we'll know what to do better next time. So, and sadly with this, well, you know, there probably will be a next time with all the online stuff still going on. So that's the oral presentation information I wanted to share with you today. The other information I want to share is a little bit more about the financial plan in your business plan. So I've got a very brief, and it's, again, this is posted also in Canvas for today under today's folder. I want to share, it's very brief. I think it's 9 slides, and to cover the business plan a little bit more, the financial part of the business plan just a little bit more. And then we'll actually be done. So we're likely to be done way early today, and you can either tumble back to sleep or or have a hearty breakfast. Make sure you have a hearty breakfast. Take care of your health these days. Or you can go ahead and get up and start packing or loading your car or whatever it is you're doing to prepare to bail out. Some of you might be in apartments and you don't have to bail, but you might want to anyway. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the this last financial plan part for your business plan. So we've been through some of these, which is one of the reasons it'll go even more quickly. So this is, okay, where do you stand now? And what are your plans for the management of the money of the company that you have, of the business that you're running? A reminder that you need to talk about initial funding. Now you may have acquired, you might assume that you have some initial funding, that you have, you might be blessed with wealthy parents, or a wealthy Aunt Gertrude, or a real good friend who is fairly well off, and you can grab, 20K or 50K, or, millions of dollars. I don't know. But you'll want to include that if you've got it. Sales forecasts are, now that's, it's business forecasts, right? It's how much income am I planning for? And that, once again, you have to break that down into, and you have to think about this. It's not something you just write a number down. You have to justify what those sales are. And so if you're going to do residential and you're going to crank out 3 houses a year, okay, residential, 3 houses a year, here's my projected price of those homes, therefore here's what my income projections are. Also, you'll need a rough financial statements, and then break-even analysis. And I can talk about, these are headings of all the slides coming up. We'll talk about break-even analysis here at the end. So these sources are not only your friends and family and things like that, but you need to show that hey, here's what it's cost. Here's what it's going to cost for me to start up. Here's the initial funding I have. I'm covered. I can get started. I can start the ball rolling. Now you need to, unlike a snowball rolling down a hill, you have to keep the ball rolling, right? You have to have finances to do that. Where that money's coming from, and if you're going to borrow, what are the terms on those loans? Or typically you're not going to borrow money for your business and pay it off over 30 years. That's not going to happen. You're going to have an investor who says that you'll be able to make, for example, as we talked about way back in September, maybe you'll make interest only payments for 5 years, and then a balloon payment where you pay it all off after 5 years, something like that. So what are the terms? And if you have investors, equity investors, what are their terms? What portion of the business will they own based on their investment? So this will guide you. This gives you some idea about when you make a sales forecast, what information do you need to make a sales forecast? And we talked about this. I talked about this just a minute ago. So how many projects, how many homes, how many commercial buildings, for example, if you're just constructing, if that's what your plan is, you're just a constructor, what will you get from each one? And maybe it'll be different for each one, and you can provide that information. Um, do you have licensing requirements that will limit your revenues? What about out years? What do you project growth over the next few years? Do you project it to be somewhat flat for a while and then ramp up? What is it that you expect? And you should have done some research, right, into your type of business to get an idea about what you can expect. And of course, you're not going to know all these things 100%. It's much like us getting ready for your oral presentations as you do your business plan. There are a lot of unknowns. And as Donald Rumsfeld would say, you know, you've got known unknowns and unknown unknowns. And the known knowns, you got those. The known unknowns, you got to figure those out. And then there's going to be the unknown unknowns, and they're out there. It's just that you don't know them, and you don't know them. And sales forecasts can be a lot that way. So along with the sales forecast, you're going to project your income, and you need to do that for each year, at least for the beginning, at least at the beginning. People will not invest or lend you money if you can't show them that you expect to make money, because if you're successful, they're successful, they get their money back and they earn a return. If you're unsuccessful, well, either if they're an equity investor, they've lost their investment, right? If you go down the tubes, whatever their investment was, it's not like they get their investment back and don't earn a return. It's like their investment is gone, right? It's lost. So if I invested $20,000 in your business and then you went belly up, whatever assets are left, I might get a piece of it. So I might get $2,000 back out of my 20. I don't want that. So I want you to be able to show me that you're going to make money. Similarly, a lender, the lender is, of course, a bank. Someone who has loaned you money will be first in line to get their money paid off before the equity investors, right? The equity partners that you have, they're the last. So once all the debts are paid, then do they get their cut of what's left, and there may not be anything left. So the lenders go first. At any rate, when they give you money, they expect to get it back, and they're not going to give you that money unless you can show them that you're going to make money. And so make sure you include taxes, because that's a big part of, if we're paying 25% in taxes, that's a big chunk. So you'll want to make sure that that's reflected. Financial statements. Now, this is that slide, one of the slides I was talking about. Don't do this to Mitch and me or your peers. This text is ridiculously small. Since I'm not in display mode here, what is that, 14 font? That's awful. It should never be less than 22 or something. Anyway, you would like to look out 3, 5, and 10 years. For you, that's going to be a wild guess. I'd stick to a couple of years, and I wouldn't worry about heading down that road too much farther. Your balance sheet, your assets and liabilities, it's going to be very few rows, right? Very few entries in your balance sheet, because first of all, you haven't started, so you don't have a lot of assets. And even a year down the road, most of you won't have projected. You'll just be bare bones assets because you're trying to make money. Income statement, which should reflect the information you've already shared about projected sales, your projected income. So again, these statements are important. They won't be long. The ones they'll be way shorter than the ones we've looked at, and we've looked at short ones. So don't worry that they're not lengthy. Um, Short is not bad if you're accurate and you're consistent. Short is fine. So don't, you know, in all of this business plan, do not get hung up on length of your plan. Do not. Um, yes, quality is important. Length does not equal quality. The more thought you put into your plan, um, good quality thought, the better your plan will be, regardless of length. Now, if it's way too short, it's probably an indicator that you didn't give it enough good thought. So you need to put that thought into it, but don't drive for length. I don't like length. Length is bad for the reader. A potential investor wants to get to the guts, get to the bottom line. Show me the stuff and let's move on. Don't give me a bunch of extraneous and duplicative information. And as a grader, short is better. So, you know what? I'm not sure that C lessons, gosh, 4 through 6. We weren't there yet. As I look at that number, I wonder if I left something off. Anyway, don't worry about that. You know where to look, and to make sure that everything works out. The one thing you want to make sure is that your balance sheet and your projected income statement, mesh. They've got to make sense together, not just separate documents. That's my point here. They have to mesh together. So, and I know that you all can do that. If you can include financial ratios, another small font, way too much text slide. If you can create some projected financial ratios, magnifique, that would be wonderful. And it would be good to look at those and then to compare those to the particular industry that you're in, much like the financial analysis homework. Was that 5? I can't remember, that you did. So you can do that. Look at financial ratios, include some. You don't have to include all these. You're not gonna have like accounts receivable age or receivable turns. You're not. If you do, that's great. If you don't sweat it. It's not. Those are things that average age of accounts payable and payable turns. You don't have any right now. You're proposing. You don't have any age of accounts payable because there aren't any accounts payable right now. So, be smart about this. Don't panic and think, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. I don't think I've got the information. Why would he ask me to do this? I'm just saying that in a business plan, these would be nice things to have. If you don't have it, you don't have it. It's not, I'm not asking you to do something that you don't, that you can't somehow make happen. So don't get tied up in the details here and start to panic about something. It's not that kind of project. I want you to, I'd rather have you spend your time thinking and really thinking about how you might start a business and what you'd need to know to start it and what you'd report to people who want to invest in it or have the ability to invest in it, and how you could convince them, and what information you'd provide them to sell them on your business. That's what I'd prefer you spend your time on, not in panic mode. And finally, I talked about break-even analysis. And there's all, when you say break-even analysis, there's all kinds of break-even analysis. What do you mean break-even analysis? Well, investors want to know, when are you going to start making money, right? You're going to have a lot of costs up front, a lot of costs to get started. If you're actually constructing things, you're going to be out a lot of money as you construct them, right? Because you're going to be, as we've talked about many times, you're going to be paid after the fact. So you'll be in the hole, way in the hole, to make something work. And so the investors, the potential investors, want to know, so when are you going to start making money? And that's break even. When will you be in a position where your income exceeds your costs so far? So here's a little picture down here with no detail, obviously. That this break even is at 10 jobs. So if you've got your income and variable and fixed costs that we've discussed, you can see that after 10 jobs, now all of a sudden your income has exceeded your cost, and after 20 jobs, you're going to be, in pretty good shape out there. So if you take the numbers that you've provided, sales figures, income projection, and cost estimates and cost projection, you should be able to develop or solve or present a break-even point. And here it's jobs. Now, it would be nice to do it this other one in months or years, right? Time. Jobs is a fine measure, but I, as a lender, I'm working on when do I get my money back? Not after how many jobs you've done. That doesn't tell me a lot. Is it next year? Is it 2 years from now? When is that? And so, here's a break even where it's out here somewhere. I didn't show you, there's no horizontal axis label there. But at that point in time is the break even point. So you would want to make sure that you could include a time component to your break even analysis. And remember, again, kind of last comment on finances. Finances is what everything that you've done has built to the finances part. We've talked about your business and location and how you're going to market, how you're going to promote. All of this is with the direction here is earning dollars or euros or I'd throw out some other currencies, but I'm fresh out. Pounds, pesos. I can't remember some of the currencies places I've been. Anyway, forget it. It's all focused toward that, right? Because the business plan is about how are you going to survive? How are you going to make money? So it's a very money focused. Certainly it's a product, it's a service focused, because that stuff, what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're providing to a customer is what is going to drive whether you have customers or not. But having customers is so you can make money. And that's what the business plan is all about, a demonstration that you're going to make money and that you're worthy of being invested in. Well, that's a poor sentence. So that's financial plan part 2, and an encouragement, I hope, to focus on the financial plans coming up in the next part of the assignment, but there's a lot of things that are developed to put in there. So that's all I have. It's 8:35. We've done it in half the class time. Um, if you, um, I'll be posting things, even though we're not meeting as at our regular class time. I'll be posting up information and maybe videos about information and details about the oral presentation and how to make your video. And if you need to use Zoom to record a video and you need a Zoom number, I don't know if you can get those yourself, that's fine. If you need me to do something for you, I can do that. So we'll get all those details worked out. So I'll be passing that information on to you next week, um, and after Thanksgiving, when we're not meeting regularly, we'll still be in communication. Also about the final, I'll have a contents sheet where I tell you what you should be prepared for and what you don't need to be prepared for on the final, and more details about it. And then certainly the details about when the window is going to be and how long you'll have. You should expect it to be about the length of the midterm. So it's you'll have 2 hours to do it, but I hope that it won't take you 2 hours to do it. Some of the material we covered though could easily take 2 hours just because it's that detailed grunt work, accounting kind of stuff that you'll also have to do a little bit on the final. Sorry about that, but that'll be on there. So I hope and I trust you're going to have a nice break away and get a little relaxation, maybe some sleep that you haven't gotten enough of, I'm sure most of you. And then, so I guess probably everything else that I send to you will be of the asynchronous top, form, unless you and I are in some sort of meeting that you need some clarification on, and I'm happy to meet. I'll still be ready and as responsive as I can be to meet with you if you have questions. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will. You'll see me anyway several times here over the next few weeks and up to the final. And I hope you do well in the rest of your classes as well.